Hello, welcome back to my channel. So I'm so irritated. I had most of my video completely done and I forgot that I missed one particular clip that I had discussing pretty much the remainder part of the show, and I made the major mistake of deleting my whole entire thing. And looking back, I knew what I could have did to repair it and make it work. And I just should have did that, but I didn't do that. And it's a whole mess. I'm kind of irritated right now. But anyway, this is your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner. And this is a review for the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 13, Episode 5. And this is called Suddenly Suspicious. This probably won't be as long as my review before because I did this already. Now I gotta do it again. So yeah. Anyway, the episode started where we left off. Sutton and Kyle going at it. They're going at it. And Sutton just is at the part where she's like, name it. Name it. Name it. And it's giving iconic. Like that's gonna go in Real Housewives history. Her name it is similar to like the Dorinda clip from Real Housewives of New York. So yeah, but we start that off, and then Kyle gets really, really frustrated and checks her. Is like, I will name it if you shut up. So she finally names all the incidences where she's kind of lost her stuff, and Sutton responds and states that, I'm okay. And just because Kyle's saying that she's unhinged, she's like, maybe you're unhinged. I'm okay. Maybe you're unhinged. And in the confessional, Sutton states, you're doing a whole lot of being in people's business. What's going on with your life? She didn't say it quite like that. She said about, she mentioned the fortress and the pedestal, painting the picture, but she's like, what's going on in your life? And yeah, so we see here, this is where Fancy Drew, which is Sutton's name for herself when she gets in her up in your business bag. She nicknamed herself instead of Nancy Drew, Fancy Drew, because we know she fancy. So Fancy Drew's activated. And then Kyle leaves in a super dramatic fashion. I think two things can be true. I think there is something going on with Sutton, and I think there's something going on with Kyle. I think there's a little bit of both happening here. But I don't like what Kyle's insinuating with Sutton, and I don't really like what Sutton is insinuating. Well, I understand why Sutton's insinuating what she's insinuating with Kyle, but I don't like all her reasons why. I think I've stated in my last video, I don't like her reasoning. She's adding the reasoning of her having a healthier lifestyle as part of the reason. I don't like that. That's my only opinion on that. So, but that's where it ends. Kyle leaves dramatically. Next, we have Erika talking to her mom and over the phone as her mom's actually heading over to her place to visit. So we see Erika's place that she's in right now is a smaller house than where she came from. She lived in a mansion before, but now she lives just in a regular house in California. But that's still, California isn't cheap, so she's still living all right. I think in her case, she thinks it's oh, woe is me, but it's kind of girl, stop it. But anyway, we meet Erika's mom. Erika states that they're really, really close. And there's an 18-year age difference. So her mom was a younger mom when she had her. And so it's a pretty short, cute scene. And that's pretty much all that was there. It's just Erika and her mom and talking about how close they were. And basically they're going to be sharing the same bed because, again, woe is me. My house is so small now. Yeah, that's pretty much it with this thing. Next, we have Jaden, which is one of the twins that Garcelle has, like her teenage twins. So he's cooking steak for them, and he has that heat up way too high for that steak. Like it is smoking. There's oil popping everywhere. And he's saying, "Oh, it's fine, it's fine." And like Garcelle's like, "Yo, that's up too high." And yeah, it's definitely up too high. Because when he goes to clean it, the pan is all kinds of like, I feel like that pan got destroyed. So I don't think he was wrong. But it was a cute scene because we see Garcelle with her son. And we see that there's a difference in relationship between Jaden and her versus Jax and her. Jax is more straight shooter, straight to the point, kind of being a little bit harder on her when it comes to her parenting, being a little bit more critical, but he's being real. And Jaden's like, "Hey, I'm happy with what's going on right here. And really, as long as I can hang out with my girlfriend, that's all I really care about." And so it's cute that we see this dynamic. And then we go into Garcelle saying, just reiterating that the way she's parenting her two boys is completely different about how she was parented. Because, Garcelle, she's Haitian. So we already know that her parents are probably super, super strict. And, she's, older. So she also names an instance how like she wasn't even able to date when she was her age, and she actually snuck out and then tried to date a boy, but then she got in trouble with her dad. It was a cute scene, and I just love these scenes with Garcelle, and I love that this season we're really getting to see Garcelle a lot more. So I'm actually more engaged in this season than I probably was previous seasons, because we're getting to know Garcelle a lot more, and we're also getting to know Crystal a little bit more. Speaking of, in the next scene, we have Crystal with her family, and it is like, it's like Crystal, her husband Rhobh, and then her mom, and then her two kids. She has a girl and boy. I did not get their names because the kids and like her mom were only there briefly. And then Rhobh, we do find out that Rhobh just got back from China because he went back to China with Jeff, her brother, that we met in the second episode. We find out Rhobh went there for multiple reasons. For one, Rhobh and Jeff are super, super close, which is awesome. That's great to be able for your in-laws and stuff to get along really well. But we also learned that Crystal and Rhobh have a house in China, so he was checking up on that too. And the gist of this scene is kind of a continuation of what we learned earlier on, that Crystal still has a lot of guilt in reference to how things ended with Jeff and her and his ex-fiance. And what we also found out is that when Jeff and Rhobh were there, Jeff was actually scheduled to actually finally have a conversation with his ex-fiance since the breakup. And, Rhobh's confiding in Crystal, saying he's not, like, even though he's saying he's moved on, he's not doing well. He really isn't moved on from it yet. And we get a little bit more clarity on the situation. Basically, Crystal and her mom basically kind of forced her hand, essentially, and according to them, and pressured him to move back to the States when the lockdown, when things were starting to go left in 2020. And I think, and he did, but the issue is because he went, but his fiance wasn't able to go, but of course he didn't know that. There was something going on with her passport, so she wasn't able to leave. So she was stuck in China while he was stuck in the States, and that's pretty much what killed their relationship, the distance. And as much as like I think Crystal's being too hard on herself on this, to be honest. And I get why after she explained it a little bit more, because there is a cultural difference when it comes to like how you really, really follow what your parents say in like Asian culture. But they're, even though it's Asian culture, they're kind of like American Asian. So there's a little bit of both here. And I think rhobh is thinking more like I am. Whereas at the end of the day, he's still a grown man. He's still an adult. He didn't have to like do that. He still could stay in China with his fiance as soon as he found out things were not going to go through, instead of just leaving her there. Now, I see why Crystal as a sister would want him to be there, because I mean, really, in this particular case, China was ground zero. That's where the disease was really, really, I mean, that's where it was formed. So it's kind of like, yeah, I'm going to need you to come back. But he could have just right then and there made sure. I guess I feel like Jeff is not as mad at Crystal as Crystal thinks. I think Jeff is really more mad at himself about how he handled it. And Crystal has guilt about her kind of forcing him, but also that. So I think there's just a lot of unresolved conversations here. And so then rhobh did contact Jeff trying to get them to like, you know, tie things up to figure out, you know, to resolve things. But it turned out he was crying. So he clearly still is not okay at all. And so the call quickly ended. And so I guess it's pretty much kind of like Crystal's storyline this season, which I'm actually kind of interested. At first I thought, why are you talking about your brother? But it does tie into what's going on with her. And it also kind of gets us to know more about Crystal. So I am a little bit more interested than I initially thought in the second episode. So there's that. Next scene's a nice, cute, fun scene. We have Sutton in the car with Jennifer Tilly, her bestie in real life, and they are heading to see Sutton's horse. We find out that her horse name is Santos, and she purchased a horse at $47,000, which is crazy. And we also found out that, if you didn't know this already, her being a Southern girl is a huge part of her identity. And she mentions like her dad lived in Texas, so she rode a horse all the time. And so the thing that was funny though about this whole entire scene is she's literally comparing her picking this horse and then seeing another horse with the horse trainer. She's comparing it all to dating. And it's comical. It's kind of strange. By kind of, I mean very strange, but it's comical. I don't know if it's relatable, because full transparency, I love my cats and all, but I'm not going to compare me hanging out and picking on my cats to dating. If anything, the pet thing is so much easier than dating. And maybe that's what she was getting at in her own weird way. See, I figured it out right then and there. But that was pretty much a scene. And, well, no, I lied. There was one more thing. So Sutton did open up to Jennifer about the conversation or confrontation between her and Kyle at her house. And Jennifer gave some sound advice. And again, I kind of alluded to what I do not like about what Sutton is doing, as far as like, I don't like all the reasons why she thinks something's going on with Kyle. Because I do agree, something definitely, I mean, we know that there's something going on with Kyle. Like, we know this, we can tell. Because we know it's about Mauricio and her marriage. But the ladies don't know that yet all the way. And, like, there's Easter eggs of it, but it's not known yet at this point. And then also, like, I would say the tattoos would be one thing, and I think next episode we'll see more, enough to be like, okay, there's something going on. But in the confessional, we have Sutton literally doing this math equation. Like, they have the producers have a math equation, and it just says equals something's wrong. So Sutton, you're good. But I did love Jennifer's like sound reasons. It brought her down to earth and not saying that this healthy lifestyle, because that's the part I don't like. Quit adding the healthy lifestyle to this equation of something's wrong. I don't like that. Just saying. Okay, next scene we have Erika with her mom again. And the mom was only there for like not even the full like 48 hours. So I guess she was like staying for the weekend. And turns out Erika could only stand her mom for like 24 hours and that's it. That was pretty much all that happened there. She talks a little bit more about her marriage with Tom. I hate to say this, but I'm not interested. So that's the scene. All right. And then the next scene, we have Garcelle getting ready for her screening. Because I forgot to mention in the scene with her and Jaden, she did mention that she has a screening for a movie that not only is she starring in, but she's executive produced. So it's like her executive producing debut, and it's called Black Girl Missing. So she's inviting all the ladies to this. And so, yeah. So she's getting ready, and while she's getting ready, she ends up FaceTiming Sutton, and Sutton basically explains everything that happened between Kyle and her. And while this is happening, simultaneously, we see Kyle and Dorit getting ready for this screening, and they're talking about what happened with Sutton and her. And what was funny, which is one of the reasons why, because I forgot to mention this because I said it in the original video, but I forgot to mention it in this video, that I actually went back and watched a previous episode, that last scene, multiple times because I thought it was so funny. Sutton was just on one and she was clearly inebriated. But still she was funny. And she was like, and so because what Sutton was getting at is she felt like she was set up. She felt like Erika set that whole thing up to embarrass her at the very end of that trip. Now, I think it was kind of Sutton's fault to act the way she acted. None of that would have happened if she wouldn't have done that. But yeah, anyway. And I do kind of agree with Sutton. I think Erika definitely set her up because like it's the elevator was a private elevator till their like private like penthouse suite for like where they're at. So it's very, happy coincidence that Erika's friend whose boyfriend's in Magic Mike is coming down the elevator as they're trying to get on the elevator. Yeah, I kind of agree with Sutton. And of course, Kyle doesn't agree because Kyle never takes Sutton's side on any of these things. She takes anyone that's in the Fox Force 5, she takes their side. Because as much as they want us to think that this alliance is over with, it's not. It's still there. It's still definitely existing. But so I'm mentioning that because while Sutton was like complaining about it, she was reenacting Erika be like, oh, there's a plan, and yes, and you need to like being so theatrical. And so Kyle to Dorit is reenacting Sutton reenacting Kyle. And I was cackling. I was like, oh my gosh. Because then they planned back to Sutton doing the reenactment, which was like one of the main scenes I went back and watched multiple times because I was just like dying. But we find out in this scene also Dorit and Sutton are actually riding together to this event. So it's going to be interesting because we already know what side of the fence Dorit is on. She's always team Kyle, team, the alliance that I just mentioned. So there's that. As a side note, one thing that I like since that lady is no longer on this show, it's not as divided. It's not as obviously divided as it was before, but they're definitely still, the remnants is still there, but it's not as bad as like Real Housewives of Potomac. So I will say that. So this is a vast improvement. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, though, next scene we have Dorit waiting for Sutton to because Dorit shows up at Sutton's place, and so she's in the giant it looks like it was like an Escalade or something. I wasn't sure what kind of giant SUV it was. Probably something expensive, I would imagine. I'm going to this Hollywood screening. But so Dorit is waiting, complaining because Sutton is taking forever. And the reason why Sutton's taking forever is she is literally doing a whole entire photo shoot of what she's wearing. And I mean, like, she literally was like, ba, 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 ba. It's a photo shoot. Like, she literally was just like, pose, 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 like full on photo shoot. And then we find out from Sutton that she's doing this now. Like, she hired like photographers to basically help with her social media to constantly take pictures to help promote her businesses, particularly her store. So we pan back to like when she was with the horses. She has pictures from that too. And so that's what was happening. But as a result, Sutton's is literally waiting for Dorit is literally waiting for her. And yeah, so they end up like, Sutton finally does get done. She hops into the vehicle and they're running late. But like, it's not the end of the world. Dorit is annoyed by it, but like, it's a party. I'm sorry, when it comes to parties, you don't show up on time or even early. You gotta be fashionably late. You gotta be like, the party is here. You're the party. Where do they show up at parties early? Where do they do that at? Just saying. So next we have Garcelle with her family. She shows up at the venue early just to make sure everything's okay and everything for the event. And the first person to show up is Kyle. And Kyle's outfit was all right. I mean, Kyle's not known for the fashion. She's definitely not the fashionista of this show. And she has this hat on. She always has a thing for hats. And like cowboy looking hats. Like, it worked for like when they went to the honky tonk bar, but like, I'm just like, Kyle, why do you have this hat on? It was kind of annoying. But I did like her purse, and they did highlight the purse. It was I think it was a Hermes Kelly 18 purse. 28. I'm not as familiar with designer purses other than like the main ones, like the Louis, the Chanel's. Those are the only ones I really know. Or the Birkin bag. Any other bags, I don't know what it is really. Because I don't buy designer purses like that. Because for one, I don't really carry a purse like that. Yeah, but anyway, we do see that the purse is worth $16,000. I was like, oh my gosh, that's a car. She is carrying a car just around casually. Must be nice. But this is why we watch Beverly Hills, right? For the ambiance and all that good stuff. And Kyle does seem genuinely happy for Garcelle because, as we know, Kyle Richards, she's also an actress as well. She was a child actress. And so she understands how big of a deal it is that she's like not only still acting in a high level, but now she's executive producing her first film. Garcelle is. So it's a big deal. And I see that Kyle is genuinely happy for her. So that's kind of cool. And Dorit and Sutton are still in the car on the way there. And we find out Dorit is freaking out now because she realizes how large a crowd is, because Sutton explains how many people are going to be there at this screening. Because for whatever reason, Dorit thought it was supposed to be a tiny screening. And this is where Dorit is really getting on my nerves. I've been trying to give this lady grace, and I'm over it. I'm done. Dorit and her passive aggressiveness when it comes to one particular cast member of the variety, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it loud and clear. So why did you think her screening was going to be small? I feel like you wouldn't have had that same energy if that was Kyle or someone else. And then why? And I'll go more into it later because I know later on let her have it. But this is where you got me messed up. It's like Dorit. And then you keep mentioning your PTSD. And for you having PTSD, I'm sorry, I'm starting to feel away. Because I feel like there's people who really do have PTSD in real life and they do not act the way you do. It's like, it's coming off super phony and super fake, and I don't like it. And honestly, I'm getting to the point where this can be her final season. I I mean, yeah, you're giving fashions, but others can do the same. Like, Erika's been looking great this season. And honestly, Erika has more of a story than you. She's toxic, but she's at least more entertaining and isn't annoying. And doesn't do this kind of microaggression type behavior towards Garcelle. Like, at the end of the day, if it wasn't for this event, you wouldn't, half these people wouldn't know who you are. Like, you don't have, your name isn't enough to get into these type of parties. Garcelle didn't need the show to get into these parties. Garcelle was already her before this show. See the difference? Okay. So then next we have, as everyone's showing up for this party, we have quite a few celebrity cameos here. We have Jerry O'Connell's there. Larsa is there. And if y'all watch my Real House of Miami reviews, y'all know why I gave that look. Larsa's there also, but there's quite a few celebrity people there, supporting Garcelle and the screening. And all the ladies are there by now, by the way. And so Jax, so that's Garcelle's other son, the one who actually got yelled at by Erika last season and cussed out at for no reason, caught astray for no reason, among other things that happened last season, which is why the pause had to happen, because it was just a hot mess. But so Jax sees Erika and he wants to talk to Erika about everything that happened last, season. And Crystal's there, so he's saying this to Crystal. And what I thought that was super dope, and I didn't really catch it initially, is that Crystal was the same person who was there for him when things went left. So, and I also, man, one thing I will say, and I do remember saying this before, is that I kind of wish we would have saw, because we had that long pause, I wish I would have saw how Garcelle, Crystal, and Sutton have gotten to the place that they're at today. Because clearly they hang out, they're cool. And the way Crystal handles things with Garcelle's children is dope. So when Garcelle made that comment about her not trusting the ladies, she wasn't talking about all the ladies. She was literally just talking about the remainders of the Fox Force 5. That was it. She wasn't talking about all of them. She was really just talking about Erika, Kyle, and Dorit. But anyway, so Jax does decide he's going to talk to Erika about it with Crystal's support. So Crystal comes with, and he comes up to Erika. He's like, hey, I just want to say there's no hard feelings. We're good. Everything's okay. And Erika apologizes to him, and she, mentions how she's apologized to, she's like, hey, I apologize to your mom a couple of times, but I do want to apologize to you about it too. I am sorry. And, all was well basically there. And in the confessional, Erika states he's such an outstanding young man, and the way he handled that so well. And Garcelle did a very, very good job raising him. And, okay. And then Jax does go to Garcelle to explain, hey, I came up, he explained, hey, I went to Erika and I talked to her and everything is good. And Garcelle and I, we were here on this because I completely agree. Garcelle was like, I'm so happy the way my son handled it, but Erika's the adult, and Erika was the one who did the offense. So Erika should have been the one to come up to Jax to do all that, not the other way around. I agree. You're the adult here. And that's kind of been my whole thing, why I can't completely be cool with Erika yet. Because, also, I'm still kind of side-eyeing her about the way she talked about the victims, or in her opinion, lack thereof. And that's her words, not mine. And also to the fact that you still thought it would be okay to like do what you did with, you yelled at like Garcelle's child. And I don't care how drunk or wherever you were. Like, I don't think I've ever done that to someone. Like, being under the influence. There's no excuse for that. Like, that's a character flaw. That's not a libation flaw. That's not something that happens with the libations. That's more of a character flaw on your end there, my opinion. And also, too, I just noticed there's a pattern with Erika. She doesn't go up to apologize to people. She waits for people to come to her, and then she'll apologize if they bring it up. If they don't bring it up, she's not apologizing. And that's not, how genuine is that apology if the person that is offended has to come up to you to get the apology? Like, for me, we would never be cool, because I'm not coming up to someone for an apology. You need to apologize to me. If you don't apologize to me, there's really no moving forward. I mean, actually, I had to cut a couple people off this year for that exact reason. I'm not coming up to you when you're the one who did me wrong. Where they do that at? So, but that does conclude that little area, and then the screening starts. Okay, so next, the movie does start. Everyone does sit down and get ready to watch the screening. And I'm actually really, really interested and want to see this movie. It looks really, really good. And I love the message, because it's called Black Girl Missing. So the whole thing is to seek awareness and show awareness when Black and brown women or people get missing. We need to get the same kind of treatment as our counterparts. And so I do find that's the message, and so that's what the movie's completely about, and it's dope. It's awesome. So as the screening is occurring and happening, because we're all watching the screening, so it's not like they're watching it. They have it on the screen, so even I'm watching, and that's how what the screening was, and that's how I knew it was like, it's going to be a lifetime, this movie. And Denise Richards shows up as this is starting. And we haven't seen Denise Richards since season 10 was her last season. Yeah, season 10 was her last season. Yeah. And so that was a nice surprise. And so after that, then Denise goes to talk to Dorit and Crystal, and then we pan over to the flashback of the last time Denise Richards was on our screen was the 2020 reunion, and we know this was like a virtual reunion. She just leaves. She doesn't close her laptop. She doesn't do and the closing the laptop is the Nene Leakes exit. That's how Nene Leakes exit the Real Housewives of Atlanta's reunion, and then we didn't see her again, because that's like that's basically quitting the show. So she just flipped her laptop. She was gone. So you went to seeing her to not. But Denise, she didn't bother doing that. She just walked away and didn't come back. And they were like, "Did she leave?" And they were like, "Yeah, she left." Like it was. Iconic way to quit the show. So she quit the show because of everything that happened with that lady that we won't talk about, because that lady was the reason why she quit that show. But that lady's gone, so that's why she's back. She made it very clear that was the reason why she wasn't going to be on this show, but now she's back. Now we're seeing her again. So while this is happening, Kyle and Sutton go. Well, Kyle is sitting down like somewhere else, and Sutton goes to talk to her to try to clear the air. Kyle's not really trying to clear the air. She's still just with that kind of energy that she left with at Sutton's. So they're not really getting anywhere pretty fastly. And Sutton's like, "Here we go again. You're yelling. You're talking really loud, and you're using these buzzwords. Like, what is that?" And Sutton, to her credit, is still talking very calmly, and she's not lit like she was the last time they talked. She's actually very coherent, just like, "Yo, what is this? Like, why are you doing all this?" And so while this is happening, then we see Denise shaking hands and pleasantries with the rest of the ladies, including Erika. So she does say hi to Erika. And so we see that little fun scene in between there. And then we pan back to Kyle and Sutton. And Sutton's just like, I just want to know what's going on. Are you mad at me because of the Kathy Hilton situation? Because we know that Sutton is really, really close friends with Kathy Hilton, which is, Kyle's sister, the one that she has all the issues with and had all. That's the one. That's where the changes started to happen with Kyle, was because of that whole entire fallout, everything that happened with her and her sister. Because really, her whole entire family, like her sisters and her, they need therapy. They just need therapy. It's very clear. And so Kyle's like, no, I'm not mad at you over that. And Sutton's like, I don't believe you. Like, I think that is a huge issue. And Sutton, in her confessional, to her credit, states why that would be a huge issue. Because she's like, because she even says, if it was in reverse, I would have an issue with that. Like, I wouldn't be okay with that. And honestly, I agree with Sutton, because Kyle even mentioned it in another episode in her confessional that she felt a way about it. So I don't know why Kyle's lying and saying that that's not the reason, but that definitely is a reason. Like, and this is what I don't like about Kyle, because Kyle does passive aggressive kind of sneaky stuff instead of just keep, like, if you're saying you're a new you and you're just going to confront things, then confront things all the way. Don't do this. I'm going to be passive aggressive about one thing and then create a different issue that has nothing to do with that, so you have a reason to be mad at her, so it doesn't seem like you're mad at her for a different reason. It's annoying. It's really, really annoying. Because also what Sutton also called out in this scene was like, you're treating me like you're trying to little sister me. And Kyle's like, don't flatter yourself. I'm not trying to do that, because Kyle didn't know what that meant. I knew what Sutton meant by little sister me. It's like it wasn't her trying to be, that wasn't a compliment. And Kyle took it like she was so snooty that she didn't realize what Sutton was saying. I knew what Sutton meant by that. Sutton meant, like, it's equivalent to like when guys say you're big bro, you're little broing me. Like, you're doing like, kind of patting her on the head, and that's just not the kind of energy you want in a friendship. So I understood what she meant by that. Anyway, so long story less long, they didn't get anywhere in their conversation. It still just isn't, they still ain't good. But while this is happening, Dorit and Garcelle do finally talk. And Garcelle's finally able to say everything she wanted to say without Dorit being all combative and making it about her. And Dorit apologizes. But this is back to what I said before. I don't believe Dorit, because I think Dorit is fake. And with this situation, I really saw how fake she was being, because her face was very, like, she showed no sense of real emotion when Garcelle was talking to her about this. No show of remorse of treating her a certain way. None of that was there. She, like, if you compare Dorit and how she has a sense of remorse and everything when she's talking to like an Erika or talking to a Kyle, it's one way, but the way she was interacting with Garcelle, it wasn't there. I honestly think the only reason why Dorit apologized and all that was because she's at a major, pretty much industry event that she would never have access to if it wasn't for the fact that Garcelle put this together. Dorit doesn't have this access by herself. I mean, even Kyle, to a certain extent, doesn't have this kind of access, because Kyle's not like an industry girl. Like, she knows these people, but that's not her scene. She wouldn't throw an event like that. So they're really only going to get something like this from a Garcelle, from a Sutton. So it was giving, I am being nice to you because I like the access I just got from you. And it's also giving, because another thing that Dorit said in confessional that I felt a way about, and that's why I really was like clocking her even more, and that she's like, I'm so proud of Garcelle and everything she has going on. This is so good for her. Like, it just came off so fake, super fake. And she's like, this is such a big deal for her. But it wasn't like this is such a big deal for her because she is a woman that is a boss. It came off that this is such a big deal for her because of, I'm sorry, I'm starting to clock it more and more and more. It's just so much microaggression and stuff like that that comes from her, and the way she reacts to Garcelle versus everyone else. I was trying to not take it there. I was trying to not see it. Trying to give her another chance, trying to clean slate it all because they did have a pause. And so I was hoping some of the people that are on this show have made some changes. For example, like, I'm starting to like Crystal. I just wish Crystal, showed her life more, and they are starting to finally do that. But it's just I just kind of wish she would have did that earlier. Sutton, I'm seeing that she annoys me at times. Probably more than I noticed before, but I still like her. Like, so I'm seeing other sides of other people but her. She's just coming off fake. Minus the first 2 episodes that were about her. But I'm seeing how super self-absorbed she is. And I don't know. Honestly, I'm kind of at the point where this could be Dorit's last season, and I'll be okay with it. Yeah, it could be her last season. Anyway, but that does conclude the episode. Yeah, it was a good episode. And if you notice, clearly I'm in a different location. It's a holiday. But anyway, yeah, I liked it. I'm looking forward to next episode because we get more into what's going on with Kyle. Because we know this is definitely going to be a Kyle heavy season because everything that's going on with Kyle and Mauricio. And so I'm looking forward to seeing it. But anyway, please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner. And I will see you next time. Bye. Hi there. Welcome again to Melanin Nostalgia Runner channel, YouTube channel.